Hi everybody, I'm in my kitchen and I'm going to show you what dilemma I was going through with my stove. I was finding out that my baking times were way off. And of course everyone thinks they know how to use an oven, but I decided to pull out my instructions. And there was a whole section on oven temperature controlling. And this is how you can recalibrate the temperature in your oven so that the oven temperature inside matches what you see on the keypad. This is essential, especially when you're baking and you have brownies or cookies or muffins or something like a popover that has to rise and has to be at the correct temperature. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to recalibrate my Whirlpool gas oven. And one of the things I'm going to show you is how I realized this oven was maybe not cooking at the correct temperature, but there was a second caveat with my directions. It gave you a preheat cycle. It also said to preheat your oven at different times for different items of foods. So if you were doing a muffin or it says muffins, cupcakes, and brownies, they want me to preheat the oven for at least 6 minutes. That's prior to putting the unbaked goods in the oven when it has already beeped and said it is at the desired temperature. So let me show you what I first did. The first thing I decided to do to see how my oven is actually being set, even though I might push 350, I want to see if it's actually calibrated to 350 based on the keypad, not based on what may be actually happening inside the oven. So to calibrate my oven, I do bake and I hold it for 5 seconds and it's showing me that it's at 20 degrees less. That means it's saying that it really should hit 350 with this being set, recalibrated at 20 degrees lower than what I would think it should be. So now I'm going to keep it set at that recalibration, that setting. I'm going to start. I'm going to start my oven. And I'm going to see if the oven temperature actually goes up to 350, even though it's 20 degrees cooler. And I have my oven thermometer in there ready to go. So I want to see how this plays out. In addition to the oven temperature being one of the things I needed to check, as I read further on my instructions, and it also said there was preheat times for various foods that you're going to put in the oven. And it said if I was going to do a muffin, a cupcake, or a brownie, I needed to preheat this oven for 6 minutes. So while I may see the temperature initially when the oven beeps, says it's 350, and it might say 330 inside of my oven, that extra 6 minutes may elevate it up to that 350 where my brownies are going to cook correctly. And this is really important when you're doing something that maybe has to rise like a popover. So really get out your little instructions and see if there's certain little caveats that they have for your particular oven. Again, mine is gas, yours might be electric. And it also talks about the bakeware, whether you're using glass, whether you're using stainless steel, whether you're using dark or light coated pans, how you should position your racks, as well as the temperature that you should put set the temperature for so that things cook correctly. So again, I'm going to give it some time. I'm not going to put anything actually in the oven, but I'm going to make an estimate and I'm going to let it sit for muffins, cookies, and brownies to see if after I preheat it for 6 minutes, it goes up to the 350 mark when it's recalibrated at 20 degrees cooler. So now my oven just beeped. It says it's at 350. I'm going to check inside here. This oven thermometer is saying it's at 275. That is way lower than what I would expect. But I'm going to let it preheat for 6 minutes further. I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to see what happens if I set it for 6 minutes longer and check the temperature at that time. The 6 minute timer went off. It's 350. I am not going to open up the oven door. I'm going to turn the oven light on just so I can see. And it's saying it's almost to 325, given my estimate. So my oven is definitely 20 degrees off. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to cancel this, take us out of this mode. I'm going to see after I press for 5 seconds, it says minus 20. I can only do increments of 10 degrees up or down on my oven. It only goes minus 10, minus 20, minus 30, and that's the least I can do. It was set at minus 20. That means it's cooking actually 20 degrees cooler than it should. So I'm going to take this, recalibrate it to 0, and I'm going to let the oven cool down, and I'm going to do my test again later today. The oven has cooled down, and I'm going to now, with the recalibrated amount of 20 degrees, I'm going to press my start at 350. My oven is at 0. I'm going to now wait until this beeps, telling me it's at 350. I'm going to check the oven temperature, and then I'm going to let it preheat for an additional 6 minutes and check the oven temperature. My oven says that it's gone up to 350, and when I look inside the oven, it is only showing 260. Again, I'm going to give it 6 minutes on a preheat and see what happens there, and check the time and check the temperature of the internal oven again. So here is my final test. The timer went off. I'm going to turn the timer off. It's set at 350. I'm going to use my oven light to look inside rather than opening the door. And it's saying it's 350. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it's saying it's 350 with 345 with this calibration. So I'm satisfied with the way this is so far. I'm not going to raise it anymore, and I'm going to leave it where it's at currently and attempt to bake with that as it's set and see how everything plays out. If you have a guide like I do from my owner's manual, you might want to make a photocopy and keep it next to your oven. It'll make your life a lot simpler when you're trying to determine how long to maybe preheat your oven, whether you should adjust the temperature based on the kind of pan you're using, and what rack level you should put the items on inside your oven. So my test of my oven revealed some interesting things, that my oven was recalibrated to minus 20, and I did not realize that, so it was really never at 350. I needed to preheat my oven to make it rise to the temperature I needed, which for some people just may say to you that's just not an accurate oven, but I'm going to go with the directions that are in my owner's manual. And I don't have a convection gas oven, so I don't have circulating air, which also affects how items will bake. So I suggest pulling out your oven manual, checking to see if there's a calibration feature on your oven, which most of them have, and doing a quick test, especially if you're having trouble with baking or roasting items. If you like this video, please give it a like, a share, a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you next time on Big City Girl, Small City Living. Bye.